Welcome back to the Build Show. This is the build number 3 in a build stream number or build show number 3 in a row this week. Getting pretty busy, right? It's a good thing. So, tonight we're going to build another PC. And I'm your host over here at the Empower Gaming Computer Studio, Ben Estrino. We're going to build Eddie's PC tonight, build number 67 on the year. So we can run through the parts and get started. It's been a quiet night. Not a lot of people on Discord either. Let's go ahead and switch views, and I'm just going to jump right into it. If I could find my mouse. There it is. Okay. So starting off tonight, yes, we're building with the 5080, but more importantly, we're building with a powerhouse CPU by AMD, which is the AMD Ryzen 9 9950X, which has got 16 cores, 32 threads, and a maximum boost of 5.7 gigahertz. The super fast workhorse. Super fast, and it's got a ton of cores and a ton of threads to work with, so multitasking on this thing is going to be super nice. Super, 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 super. Say super 1,000 times around that processor. We are also going to be using our typical AM5 contact frame by Thermalright. We always use those, especially if we're using AM5 or Intel LGA 1700, or even the Ultra series has their own contact frame now as well that you could use. The motherboard we're going to be plugging the CPU into is the Asus TUF Gaming X870 plus Wi-Fi. This motherboard specifically, we wanted to, with the 9000 series CPU and the 870, we wanted PCIe Gen 5 for this particular reason. Not for the graphics card, although it is a benefit. It's a very slight benefit, but we're going to be building with a PCIe Gen 5 SSD. This is the Samsung 9100 Pro, which is a Gen 5 SSD, and it's about pretty close to double the speed of the 990 Pro. So it's a super fast read-write speed SSD. This is a 4 terabyte, so it's a very large drive. With that, as you can see, kind of the theme here, we're maxing out everything. We're also going to go to 96 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. This is a 48 by 2 kit by G.Skill. This is a Flare X5 6000 megahertz CL30 kit. So super fast timings. AMD does like the faster timings or the lower timings. So the lower timings you can go, the better. And of course, you always want to make sure that you check to make sure the RAM is compatible with your motherboard and that it's listed on the QVL list. So always make sure you go through and double check that. We're going to cool the CPU with this magnificent Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 Pro 360 millimeter addressable RGB cooler. This cooler specifically has the offset mounting for AMD, so it offsets the center point of the CPU over the hot spot, which is very unique compared to all other coolers. So this is a very unique cooler specifically for AMD. It also does work well with Intel as well. How much is this build? It's up there. We'll just leave it at that. I could price one out for you if you'd like. Next is the Asus TUF Gaming. I'm sorry, not the TUF Gaming. I did want to get the Asus TUF Gaming for this card to match the motherboard, but they were out of stock when I went to go grab the card, and so the only Asus card that was within the price point, other than the Asus ROG Strix, which they did have, which is a much more expensive card. Mike, okay, I'm here, LOL. Welcome back to the Build Show. And welcome back to the Build Show, Ant-Man, both of you. So we ended up with the Asus Prime, which is the overclocked version of this card. So Asus on Asus motherboard still, so I'll take that as a win. And then we're going to be powering the system with a 1000... excuse me, as I choke on my... choke on myself. Alright, so we're going to be powering the system with a 1050 watt power supply. I don't know if you can see that or not because of the light reflecting off the plastic on the box. but it is a Thermaltake Tough Power GFA3 1050 watt power supply. This is going to be more than enough power for this system and give them a little bit of wiggle room if you ever wanted to upgrade the graphics card in the future. The case that we've selected for this build is actually the same case that we built in yesterday. It's very popular here, and it's the Montech Air 903 Max. It's a very versatile case for larger hardware, and very simple to gain access to, clean. It's a very simple case to use and build in, which is primarily why I like it so much. And also for this use case, this is actually going to be in a office environment, and it's going to be doing a lot of design work mostly than gaming. So it's so that's why we're heavy on the CPU, RAM, and the super fast SSD storage. And that's, again, primarily because it's going to be more of a workhorse than it is going to be a gaming PC. But we added the RGB flare to it, and he wanted the bigger card in there. Though I think we could have done this same build with the same performance with a smaller card. But he wanted the bigger card, and we're going to go with the bigger card. So, who's ready to build this thing? Hey, Edward, welcome back to the build show, or welcome to the build show since this is your first time. That's my PC. How cool. Yes, this is the beginning of your PC. But welcome to the build show. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to ask any questions while you are here. I'm happy to answer them. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. I'm going to move some of these components off the table while we start the assembly of the motherboard portion of everything. And in lieu of the shortage of the Lian Li graphics card anti-sag brackets, I did find this other brand here, and I'm going to be using this tonight and see how it works. I'm just going to test it out and see if it works well. Any thoughts on over on the Twitch side, any thoughts on the Liquid Freezer 3 versus the Liquid Freezer 3 Pro? I think the only major difference is there's a major difference on the Intel side. For AMD, there's not that big of a difference except for the fans. And I think that was the only change really for AMD. So if you're building for AMD, the big difference is going to be the fans. If you're building with Intel, I think there is a difference on the mounting. I believe that changed a little bit on the Pro, if I remember correctly. I haven't actually done a Liquid Freezer 3 Pro for Intel though, so I don't know for sure. But that's what I was reading, or that's what I've heard, is there's a difference in the mounting with Intel, and I think it's only with the Ultra series CPUs. Killer PC, Eddie. Yes, this is definitely a killer PC. All right, let's get started. Hey, what's up, Steve Anderson? Welcome back to the build show. And C9, I found that out after buying the Pro and replacing the fans. LOL. Yeah, they're pretty aggressive fans, so you will hear it spin up quite a bit on the cooler. They're aggressive, very aggressive fans. But it does, if you take a look at the temps, does make a little bit of a difference when it comes to temps. Okay. Don't think we'll need anything else out of the box. And here's our Asus TUF Gaming X870 plus Wi-Fi motherboard. The super military style looking aesthetics on the board. Kind of what Asus has always been going for, is kind of that military aesthetics. Kind of like tough steel. We can go ahead and zoom in, let the camera focus, and then we can get started by installing our CPU into the socket, our RAM, our SSD, and we also have a contact frame that we're going to install, as well as the brackets for the cooler. So we'll do all of that before we put this into the case. Let's get started with our CPU, which is the Ryzen 9 9950X. Again, this has 16 threads, 32 I'm sorry, 16 cores, 32 threads, and a maximum boost of 5.7 out of the box. Jeff subscribed with tier 1. Oh, nice, man. Thank you for the sub over there on the Twitch side. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. It always helps us out. And also gets us towards a... I take all the funds that we make from the channels, guys. Twitch, YouTube, Kick, Facebook. Facebook's pretty light. But we take all the funds and we put it towards building a community PC and giving it away to all of our subscribers on Twitch, members on YouTube, and subscribers on Kick. Everybody with a paid subscription, basically. So then we'll build a PC as a community, and then we'll get it away. And then if that person, the winner, decides that they already have a wonderful PC and they want to give it to somebody that needs it, then we'll find somebody that needs a PC and make sure it gets to somebody that needs it. But just for awareness, that's what we do with our memberships and our subs. Anything with a paid subscription. QWCP, build me a PC for my birthday. We gotta get your order in if your birthday's coming up. If you'd like to order a PC and you want me to build it, I could do that live on the channel for you. You just have to submit an order. If you want a custom build, I could build a custom for you. Okay, so I've placed the CPU into the socket here, and this is specifically to cover up those 1 bazillion pins. 1 bazillion pins that are underneath the CPU, and that CPU actually keeps the pins protected while I do the rest of this work. I'm going to remove this stock bracket and replace it with a Thermalright contact frame. You don't want to do that with exposed pins, and when this is open and while you're removing it, you're taking the chance, if there's no CPU in that socket, of dropping something into those pins, and it's very easy to bend those pins or break them. So I always recommend, if you're working in the socket, to do exactly what I did, which is drop a CPU in the socket and then keeps it protected. Steve Anderson, the RTX 560 is supposed to have 448 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. Tech Power Up says it has 515. Damn, that's pretty good on the RTX 5060. And isn't that on X8 too, as well? That's PCIe. That's not even using the full lane, right? It's only using half of it on a X16. Wick fans, welcome back to the Build Show. Was going to ask, I can trade in my 7800X3D and get a 9800X3D for 180 bucks. Is that worth it? I'd say you could probably do better buying a new 9800X3D and then reselling your 7800X3D. You could probably make it cost less, basically. All right, so now that we've removed the old, or the stock bracket, we're going to replace it with a contact frame. And the purpose of doing this is really just holding the CPU in place, and the benefit is you gain about 2 to 5% on your temperatures, or reduce your temperature by 2 to 5%. So it helps maintain the flat surface for contact to your cooler, and the flatter your surface is, the better the contact to your cooler, and the better the contact to your cooler, the better the cooling results will be. The 9800X3D is new. It's using the Newegg trade-in system. Yeah, that's still a little bit... You're still losing money on that. I think you would probably still do better if you bought a new one and then sold your 7800X3D used on Marketplace or something. The downside is that the resale marketplace right now is just flooded with parts. So you'll be sitting on it for a little bit, trying to get maximum value out of it. That would be the only difference. Is You get maximum value reselling your 7800 X3D, but you might be sitting on it for a month or two. DDR4? What are you saying, Ant-Man? Okay, so now that we've got our CPU installed and our contact frame, I'm going to go ahead and install our RAM. We're going to be installing the 2 sticks, which are 48 gigabytes apiece, totaling out at 96 gigabytes, 6000 megahertz CL30. We're going to be installing these in slots A2 and B2 in the motherboard. So here's our Flare X5 by G.Skill. 148 gig stick, and our second 48 gig stick going into A2, B2, totals out to 96 gigs of DDR5.